Here was President Trump's most important off-the-rails moment last night.
The biggest proponents of open borders are rich liberals and wealthy donors. These are hypocrites who oppose security for you while living their entire lives. I do too, to be honest with you. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I also live behind walls, okay? They live behind walls and gates and they have guards all over the place. Me too, because I want to be safe and I want to make America safe, if you don't mind.
He is very, very guilty because what Donald Trump has never minded having behind those gates with him is undocumented workers who he has employed consistently throughout his career. Here is the wall that President Trump lives behind when he stays at the golf course he owns in New Jersey. Last week, the Washington Post reported on a pipeline that provided dozens of workers without legal status for Trump's prized golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, stretching back to its construction in 2002. Throughout the Trump presidency, workers without legal status have been working for Donald Trump at his golf clubs. When the New York Times did an expose about women working at the New Jersey golf club, Donald Trump had the undocumented workers fired last year. One worker who was fired last month told the Washington Post, "I started to cry. I told them they needed to consider us. I had worked almost 15 years for them in this club, and I'd given the best of myself to this job." There is no room for reasonable doubt that Donald Trump knew that his company was illegally employing these workers. He knew. Listen to this worker's story of an encounter with Donald Trump himself, in which Donald Trump correctly assumes the worker does not speak English.
Yo estaba cortando la grama azul con el tractor y yo apagué la máquina para que él sacara, estaba en el tee, y me llamó y me dijo, me hizo así, no me habló, me hizo señas y me dio $20 de propina.
¿Qué sentiste en este momento?
Sí, me agradó, me gustó ya, sí, que él se mezclara con los empleados.
Donald Trump continued to mix with those employees while he was president of the United States, the president who has complained more than any other in history about companies illegally hiring undocumented workers. And that is but one of the many reasons why the most important thing that Donald Trump said last night was,
I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
Donald Trump gets tonight's last word, and that word is guilty. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.